One of the things that business owners forget a lot is to prepare for their own retirement.
Hi, my name's Nick Palavita, and today I'm with a very special guest, a certified financial planner, a chartered retirement plan specialist, and president of National Pension Partners, Max Couliet. Max, tell me what you do at National Pension Partners.
Well, Nick, we help successful small businesses and professionals put together retirement plans that provide them the maximum retirement benefits and big tax deductions at the same time.
Well, how do you do this?
Well, we get on an internet conferencing system with the client, we review their goals, what they want to accomplish, and then put together strategies to help them in implementing a retirement plan that benefits them, not everybody else.
Well, that sounds really good, but how much does this cost?
Well, it's really not bad because the first consultation is free. That allows us to go through and discover whether this strategy works for that business and for you as the business owner and helping you maximize your retirement.
Well, Max, how do we get this free appointment?
It's really pretty simple, Nick. You can either go to our website below or call us at 877-252-1692, and then we can set up a time with either myself, Nick, or one of our other retirement plan specialists, another CPA or advisor in the office to go over this with you and make sure it fits for you.
Hi, my name is Lewis Haupt. I work with National Pension Partners, and I work with businesses to allow them to put the maximum away that they can for themselves and to save taxes.
Hi, I'm Brad Coyle, and I'm the brokerage manager at National Pension Partners. We're always analyzing plan fund choices in order to ensure the participant's success.
If you want more information on how we can help you and your business put more money away in a retirement plan than you ever thought possible, contact us at the website below or call us at 877-252.
On the bus heading to work, but I should be there in about 2 minutes. So I'm going to see what Rick's got going on in the world and what's happening in Drudge, and then I'll give my regular report, and then hopefully folks will be joining us. But Rick, if you'll take over and tell folks what you've got in Drudge and everything like that, I should be across the street at HI in about 2 or 3 minutes.
All right, so 3 months until the midterms. Last couple days, really bad poll numbers for Trump. 32%, 34% approval, and we're now close enough to the midterms that we can predict what his approval is going to be in the month leading up to the midterms. And I'm saying it's going to be 38% approval, 58, 59% disapproval, plus or minus 1%. In a normal election, midterm election year, this would cost the Republicans 40 or 50 seats in the House because Trump played games with gerrymandering that might save 10 of those seats. So the Republicans will probably lose 30 to 40 seats in the House, which means they will lose control of the House. Let's go to, let's see what gas is today. Come on, here we go. Gas national average is $4.10 a gallon. So we're, gas went to over $4 a gallon for 11 weeks, about a month after the beginning of the war. Then there was a supposed ceasefire. It dropped a little under $4 a gallon. Now for the past 2 weeks, it's been back over $4 a gallon. Today is the last day of July, which means next week, the week after, we will get unemployment and inflation numbers for July. Inflation for July is anticipated to be between 3.3 and 3.4%, which is it's not great. Trump promised us that on day one he would start making inflation go away. Inflation is higher now than when he took office. The job numbers have been pretty much flat. No new jobs created since he started his tariffs thing back in April of 2025. Growth is now predicted to have been 1.5% during Q2 from April through June. Decent growth is 3% or more. This is half of that. So the war is giving us bad numbers for the economy. Now let me load up Drudge here. So Spain is being hit by thousands of migrants crossing the Mediterranean Ocean. 60,000 migrants have made it from Morocco in Africa to swarm beaches in Spain. They've called out the military. That 60,000 people is a ton of people. Oh, wait a second. So they didn't cross the Mediterranean. These are Spanish enclaves. I don't know what they mean by enclave exactly, but these are, I guess, Spanish possessions in the very northern part of Africa, and immigrants are swarming into these places. They're not crossing the Mediterranean. They are moving from other parts of Morocco, close to Tangier and a place called Nador, to Spanish possessions. All right, let's see what else is going on, because I don't know the whole deal there. For the past couple of weeks, I've been saying, don't, like the Republicans have been saying, if you're voting for Democrats, you're voting for communism, which is bullshit. Americans are not communists. But it turns out increasingly Democrats are getting behind democratic socialist candidates. Mamdani, the mayor of New York, is the most prominent democratic socialist in America right now. And there are a bunch of other candidates who are running as Democrats who are espousing similar policies. Steve, can you tell us about democratic socialists? Because I don't know that much.
I think it's changing every day. I mean, the way and I'm sorry, I'm not dressed in my attire today because I'm over in Ukraine, so I'm getting ready. I think democratic socialism is, basically socialism is generally that, you're really against capitalism. You basically believe in, a lot of, just in terms of, standard income for everybody, providing, lots of social benefits to those who need them, which I do agree with. But then they tend to border a lot on social issues, LGBT, transgender, really, going all the way. There's nothing wrong with being a progressive or socialist, but I think that the problem is it doesn't really focus in on the moderates and the middle stream Americans that want different things from their government. So, I'm going to have to start researching democratic socialism more, but socialism in general is never really worked in society. India, what my parents immigrated from in the 1960s, was a socialist country, and it's only succeeding after it's become more capitalist and open to free markets, expanding innovation, expanding those who work hard, who can rise up through the ranks. Socialists don't believe in that. They don't believe that, capitalism is a good thing, that wealth should be distributed to the hands of a few people. But if you didn't have a Carnegie, if you didn't have a Vanderbilt, if you didn't have a Rockefeller, if you didn't have an Elon Musk or some of these, big guys that are coming into the United States, many of them immigrants that come in and build up America, that's really been the destination of capitalism. And so I think that, you could debate this all you want, but that's my thing with socialism. And, I think it's a short-term gain in the Democrats, but I think it's going to have a hard time sticking over the next, few years in terms of strategy.
The U.S. remains highly capitalistic. You look at the Heritage Foundation, a conservative, hyper-conservative organization that's been behind a lot of Trump's policies. They do a yearly survey of the nations of the world as to how capitalistic they are. And the U.S., year after year, remains steady at being the most capitalistic country with a population of more than 80 million. When you think of the other mega countries in the world, Brazil, China, India, Russia, of course, we're more capitalistic than they are, but we aren't getting more socialist either. What works in New York City under Mamdani is one thing. What works in Michigan or Ohio is another thing. And I think a lot of people are pissed at income inequality and guys like Musk having $1 trillion and paying almost nothing in taxes. And so when people say, that you need a social state, like 2 days ago, the Republicans scuttled a prescription drug policy subsidy for seniors under Medicare Part D to save $5.5 billion. Yet Trump wants to spend $22.5 billion remodeling the Washington, D.C. airport.
He's trying to do that and everything along those lines.
It strikes a lot of people as bullshit. So I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily socialists. They're just pissed at the people in charge right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that and everything like that. Just really quickly, and I know Steve may have some things he wants to do about news as well, and I was going from point A to point B, but I do see that Trump says Hamas has agreed to the next phase of the Gaza peace deal, including disarmament. So it looks like Hamas for the first time has agreed to give up arms, but only when Israel upholds the Gaza truce. So Sasha, I know that you follow a lot, not just in Ukraine, but in the Mideast as well. So how much are you thinking that this truce is going to last, that apparently Trump has brokered and everything like that? And Saudi Arabia was involved as well. But how much do you think this truce is going to stay intact?
I think by now you should learn how to completely dismiss everything what Trump says. It's 100% lies. You cannot rely on any because of his sentences. Because one day he says one thing. For example, he was saying that he will provide Ukraine with a license to manufacture the interceptors for Patriot. Well, guess what? Hey, today he's saying he's not sure that he's going to give Ukraine any license. He wants Ukraine to finish the war. Well, everybody wants to finish the war. Ukraine wants to finish the war. But on what conditions? What, to give half of its territory to Russia? How you finish the war? When Russia, first of all, they don't agree even to any negotiations about the peace. And second of all, the latest what was discussed, I believe, in Anchorage in Alaska, was that Ukraine would have to give up most of its Donbas territories, which opens for Russia potential way attack Kyiv without any possible resistance. So Ukraine cannot do that. So when Trump says he wants Ukraine to finish the war, don't stop there and explain on what conditions when Russia does not say even a single word about its readiness to finish the war. But what are you talking? What are you talking, you clown?
So, I mean, when you talk about Gaza, you've got Trump saying something. Trump is highly untrustworthy. I agree with Sasha. Then you've got two other parties. You've got Hamas and you've got Netanyahu. And both of those parties can change their mind and can engage in messaging that isn't honest. This week's New Yorker magazine has a long article about how Netanyahu played Biden for years, bullshitted Biden about, yeah, we're behaving, and then they do one thing, they'd say one thing to Biden, and then they do another thing. So, you know, you've got to, you can't trust anything, A, from Trump, and B, from the Gaza.
Give my few cents, because I got to get ready for Ukraine on my opening, you know, so I'm going to go get ready, but and I'll try to open up on this a few times a week as I make my comeback to media. But when I host these shows, I want to get ready. But my take, Mark, your question was, the insights, yeah, the basic things is the Hamas negotiation, being in Camp David. You know, at the end of the day, here's the way I look at it. Okay, I've been trying to do a better job of, as an analyst, looking at things at a macro level, and Sasha and I have been working hard to do that on the Ukraine-Iran show, rather than a day-by-day, play-by-play claim. This is what's going on every day, which is a lot of what the news is. But here's the reality. President Trump began this presidency saying he was going to end all the wars. Mm-hmm. Now we're in two wars, Iran and Ukraine. Okay, he wants to bring peace to Iran by throttling whatever conditions he has on Iran. And at the same time, now he's changing his position on Ukraine, saying, well, I want to have peace in Ukraine. I want to win the war in Ukraine. I think the question is, it's not about how powerful a leader is, how many threats they can make. It's how leaders can use their power and to also be effective in negotiating peace when necessary. So this is where I think American foreign policy is failing. It's a short-term strategy of bludgeoning and threatening that if you don't do this, we're going to invade, we're going to attack, with no real strategy of how to bring people together. I think it's too much. And the final thing I'll say is the impact on all of us from oil, inflation, energy. So this is what's going on, this endless cycle. All the while, this president is making more money through all of these wars.
So one question to you. With this constant lying as the strategy, so his strategy is actually to keep lying. And this, he believes, you know, it probably worked in New York real estate when you are bringing down the guy. So let's see, okay, here's a piece of property you want to acquire, so you want to bring all the way the other guy down, so you will pay the lower price. Okay, that's understandable business. Now, in international politics, when by lying you are losing countries' respect, you are losing countries' stature. However, even that's possible if there are some immediate gains. So you can say, okay, yes, I did lie, but I lied for the benefits of American people. What do American people are gaining, if anything, from Trump's constant lying? Can you tell me?
Not gaining anything. They're being hurt because of what's happening at the gas stations, as Rick mentioned earlier, and what's happening at the grocery stores and a number of other places.
However,
I'm not worried about the cost. I mean, that's go ahead.
So people are pretty disgusted with prices right now. But I've been on Twitter for like 15 years now, and then Twitter turned into X. And X, you know, Twitter, I used to be on Twitter as a comedian, and you used to be able to go there and just read hundreds of jokes a day because a ton of funny people were out there throwing jokes back and forth. And then Musk chased all those people away and replaced them with kind of racists and lunatics. And I've noticed that, like, some of my followers are mentally ill. And if you look at the people who are posting on X, I've begun to suspect that a higher than average percentage of those people have some degree of mental illness. So there's a chance that after 10 years of Trump and, you know, his constant bullshitting and the bombardment via social media, that there are a significant percentage of people who still support Trump who have some degree or are anti-vaxxers and the whole thing, because there's a whole set of beliefs that go along with each other, that some of these people are mentally broken. And the benefit to those people, if you're mentally broken or mentally ill, is that maybe you just believe most things that Trump says. And if you believe Trump, then we're living in a golden age, a paradise, and everything he does is great.
If you believe that lies in details. But by the way, I know one of the things that the network talks about is the state of education and everything like that. And apparently even our government doesn't know that much about education, because there has been some major flack that the State Department has been catching lately, because they were at an AIDS conference and apparently they mislabeled every country that was on the map of Africa that they were talking about as they were doing a conference around AIDS. And this was in Brazil earlier this week. So apparently
there's a conference and the U.S. is saying, okay, we shut down USAID, but we're still providing a lot of money to these 6 countries in Africa. And then there was a map where it said this country, Mozambique, Ivory Coast, and every single country was mislabeled. But people are also saying this is what happens when you let AI make your chart for you and then you don't check it.
So the map was all over the place. They said that the map showed Nigeria, where the U.S. has several hundred troops deployed, as landlocked in the Sahara, which is not. Mozambique, which is in southeastern Africa, was relocated to the Horn of Africa, while the Ivory Coast in West Africa was placed on the other side of the continent.
The people laughed most at Ivory Coast because it showed that landlocked, and it's got coast right in its name.
Right in its name, right. So it's just crazy. Apparently we got people in power that don't know that much about their own education system as well. I'm not saying that a lot of folks couldn't pass geography tests. I know that there have been tests where people have been asked world capitals of countries, as well as capitals of even states, and a lot of times folks don't get them right. I'm thinking you're a Mensa member, Rick, so I'm thinking you probably would get all of them right. But then again, I thought that
like Africa has like it's got like 56 countries,
right.
And I'd be lucky if I took a quiz, I'd get maybe 10 of them right. I don't know, but anyway,
I'm gonna go get ready for the next show. But that was my take, Mark, about what's going on in the world. I think when we begin on Monday, I'm going to do some review over the weekend and try to organize these topics around the world. But it's a very disruptive time, everybody. And I wish I was, college is starting in another month. And boy, I really would like to sign up for a political science class at these universities to see what they're teaching in the universities.
Actually, Steve, it's actually going to be less than a month, because I know that in about 2 weeks, my nephew will be going off to UNCG, and he'll actually be studying poli-sci. That's actually going to be his major. So I'll get to find out from Julius what they are teaching in the courses, probably in about 2 weeks to a month. But I do know that
there might be a course called Trump Foreign Policy. Just throw everything out the book. It's But I'll see you in a few on the Ukraine show, everybody, with Sasha, and I'll be back on Monday. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Sasha, I have a question for you.
Okay.
About stocks, pretty much. Are you a chartist to any extent?
I'm not doing the charts myself, but I have services that I'm using that doing very, very good job on charts. I understand the charts to a certain degree, of course.
Well, there are some people in the stock market who are called chartists, who look at the shape of curves and make their purchases or what they sell based on they think that stock movements tend to follow patterns, so that they're looking at company fundamentals, but they're also looking at the shape of the profit and loss curve, and they're using maybe some psychology saying, well, if it's going to behave like this, usually there's a bounce like this. And I've been looking at Trump's approval. I don't buy that chartist stuff too much for stocks, but then again, I'm pretty ignorant about stocks. But I've been looking at Trump's chart of approval and disapproval, And I've noticed that it has this pattern where it goes in little like scallops. It drops and then it comes back up and then it goes like this, like this, like this.
Mhm.
And you can see it as people like remembering Trump is a dick or Trump does something particularly bad, and then it drops. And then people get used to it and then it levels out. And then people are like, yeah, it's not so bad. It goes up a little bit. Then Trump does something else and then it goes zoop back down. So it goes in these little scoops. And I think we're at the top of one of those scoops, and it lets you, the shape of all these little, of the chart lets you predict where it's going to be in 3 months when America votes on in the midterms for all the Senate, for senators and for Congress people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I think majority of people are not looking at this information. Majority of people see what are the latest news. Okay, Iran, is he winning war against Iran? Probably not. Is there anything, for example, Iran now is bombing heavily Kuwait, for example, and a few other countries there. And Kuwait is asking very politely but nicely America to leave its military bases, move its troops out of Kuwait. And once it's done, Kuwait will make its own deal with Iran about everything, Strait of Hormuz and the way how the international trade should be conducted or so on. They don't need United States. Same thing, Ukraine. Ukraine basically doesn't need United States, trust me. But Europeans want to be on good terms with Trump for various reasons. So they are urging Zelensky, okay, you just go there, okay. So what Trump is doing, he's using Europeans to bring Zelensky up to him. So he will use him saying, oh, we are going to provide you with interceptors, we're going to do this and that. Zelensky leaves and he said, you know what? Why? I'm not going to give them any license and so on. So this is something, you see, most American people, especially business people, they're liars. They need to lie in order to conduct their business, daily activities and so on. They take it for granted, but then their lies exporting only themselves, personally, maybe their family, maybe their business. That's a small thing. Now, when there is a liar on top of the country and he keeps lying and lying and lying, and every day, every minute, so that put a great disrespect to all American people all over the world. That's why America today is by far the most hated country in the world. People don't want to travel anymore to America. People don't want to see Americans anymore. It's the most hated country, and there has to be something done about it. I don't think American people can benefit from this at all.
No, but let's go back to Kuwait. So there are 50,000 U.S. troops in the Mideast right now. 13,500 of them are in Kuwait. It's our largest in the Middle East. This is the largest concentration of American troops at 4 big bases. So if we get kicked out of Kuwait, that's a huge displacement of troops. Don't know where you're going to put them. Also, it means a drop in influence across the Mideast. If all these countries find out that it's unsafe to have U.S. troops there because that makes us a target, makes those bases and those countries a target for Iran, yeah, we've shot ourselves in the foot. If we wanted to have influence across the Mideast, that influence is dropping because it's a liability to be associated with the U.S.
It's a serious liability to be associated with the U.S. And Sasha has brought up several times how much we are not liked and all along those lines and everything like that. To bring in Jacoby, see what he's got to say about a number of these stories and all along those lines. But yeah, there's definitely a lot going on in that space where we are
Then
now.
the world will embrace us again if we get different leadership. I think most people in the world internationally see a difference between Americans and our president. Trump is perhaps the most disliked living person in history.
Rick, on the other hand, how he became president, American people choose him.
Well, there's that. But if you walk into a bar in Ireland or London and you order a drink with an American accent, do you have to lie and say you're from Canada? A lot of people would, but if you do say you're from America and you're not wearing a Trump t-shirt, I don't think people are going to beat you up. I think a lot of people are going to be sympathetic.
Okay.
And if we get different leadership, I think the world will cautiously embrace us again.
Yeah.
It'll take a couple of years, but that's what happened. When Obama took over after Bush, he did what was called an apology tour. When Biden took over after Trump, the world embraced us again cautiously, and now it's happened a third time in recent history where we've got a dickhead in the White House. And so, the world feels burned, but they'll come back to a great extent when we don't have a dickhead in the White House.
Well, right now you have to deal with a phenomena that the substantial number of American people, knowing Trump's first term, knowing that he is already a convicted criminal, knowing his behavior and how he conducts himself and his business and so on, nevertheless voted for him. That's what worries me, is that American people, they either ignorant or they don't learn, or they just want to say, well, I'm going to vote for Trump. Okay, go to hell, everybody. I'm going to vote for Trump and my family and all my friends and all that and so on. Okay, be my guest.
I mean, there is that we've shown we're not as reliable as before, that we let the forces of racism and stupidity get a plurality of the votes and put a criminal jackass back in power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always said that the United States is a racist country, and I stand by that. It's a racist country, and therefore, even in spite of, you will tell me, oh, well, Obama was a president or so on, it's a fluke. I don't think that it will happen in the near future that any colored person will become a president. Kamala Harris the last try in that respect, and I don't think that Democrats will put even a colored person as their candidate to become a president. So all the politics, even in states and in the cities, they all run mostly by cronies of Trump or Republican Party or so on, trying to please them as much as they can with all their policies and all their behavior and so on. So this is unfortunately doesn't provide a rosy picture at all.
So America has a long history of being privately racist, along with some states that were more overtly racist across the South. Mm-hmm. But what happens, and you can correct me if my analysis is wrong, is Obama gets elected. Yeah. And this makes a certain segment of Americans freak out or get angry. And thanks to social media, people who would have 50 years ago would have been, racist in little groups can now get on social media and find each other and amplify their anger and their messaging. And so, there was a backlash to Obama from a-holes was enough to get Trump elected twice.
Well, first time there was Hillary Clinton who was running against Trump. She's not a colored person for sure. And she has enough credentials that could put her several 100 points higher than Trump in all respects.
Yeah, but she also had a long history of being in public, so she had 30 years of ridiculous crap for the Republicans to attack her for. And it happens every time if you've got a long record. Kamala Harris, when she was Deputy Attorney General of the state of California, was dating the Speaker of the California House, Willie Brown, who was separated from his wife. And so they went out, I don't know, for a year, for a few months, I don't know. But 20 years later, the Republicans characterized her as the blowjob queen, saying that, like people say that J.D. Vance fucked a couch. He didn't. Somebody made that up as a joke, but then everybody ran with it, and now he's the couch fucker. Same thing with Kamala Harris giving BJs. Yeah, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you probably, and they have a dick, you probably give a BJ once in a while. But that doesn't make somebody the BJ queen. But all of a sudden, as long as you've got a record, the Republicans in particular will jump on it and distort it to scare idiots.
Yeah, that's what they do a lot of, is this whole notion of scaring the idiots and getting people to buy into this otherism, which I know that Jacoby had talked about quite often, and everything like that, always trying to find some way to get people.
The thing that Trump keeps saying is, when did she become black? So Kamala Harris has people, her parents and grandparents, they come from all over, and which includes, the Indian subcontinent, which includes African Americans. And Trump runs around saying, oh, well, she wasn't black before, now she's black. It's like just crazy, ridiculous, just nonsensical bullshit that idiots will embrace along with right-wing media.
Yeah, they're definitely going to embrace it and everything like that. And like you said, right-wing media plays into it also. By the way, just to let y'all know, because we still got about another 20 minutes to go, but there is a new show here on the network, so I need to give her a plug. It's called Financial CPRR, and it's done by Jay Graham, but it is like a way to, not so much modern investment like what you do with investments, but it's more like fiscal planning, which I know that Nick and Kim have been trying to get anyway. We had a show that an Asian woman was doing some time back, but Jay is going to start doing this, and she's got like a whole year-long plan, and it can even get people hopefully to save $27 a day. And if you do that on a daily basis by cutting back on some of your expenses, you might have some money that you can actually invest, kind of like in what Sasha talks about and all along those lines. But that show is on Wednesday evening. I believe it's Wednesday at 6, but definitely it's Wednesday evening and everything like that. But that is a new show here on the network.
Yeah, good luck with this new show. I would like to bring something more interesting and inspiring than that. For example, guy by the name Infantino. He's a ruler of FIFA Soccer Association, yes. World Soccer Association. He is a very good friend of Donald Trump. So recently there was not just an idea, it was a plan that FIFA will provide certain percentage for equity firm, which will be run by brother of Jared Kushner, familiar name, Jared Kushner, right? Yes. Okay, and so then they will take over the financial side of FIFA and will work with advertisers and other wonderful things and so on. Now the question is, FIFA is extremely wealthy sport body, probably the wealthiest of them all. They just made, just a couple of weeks ago, $15 billion. So why do they need a private equity firm? Because Infantino is very good friend of Trump, and Trump is the father-in-law of Jared Kushner, and Kushner has a little brother who has probably nothing better to do than to run that. Well, listen, things happening, and what can you say? Except one thing. Yesterday was a decision-making of UEFA. It's European Soccer Association. And UEFA made it absolutely clear that 55 UEFA members, which means 100%, resolved not to participate in future World Cups or other FIFA-run events, saying in a statement they are unanimously and unequivocally reject the proposals. An emergency meeting that lasted just short of 2 hours ended with a unified front despite earlier fears that smaller countries attracted by the money on the offer through Infantino's scheme would be swayed in favor. European Football Association are expected to write to FIFA this week with a formal notification of their threat to boycott future tournaments unless the planned World Cup sell-off is withdrawn. So this is very interesting that even in the sport, in the field of soccer, it's very clearly a clash between American and Europeans. It is America who wants to have this Kushner's brother wonderful equity firm, billions of dollars will be made or maybe not. Without Europeans, there will be no $1 million or billion or $1 trillion. No, because all the leading soccer associations or football associations, right, to say, except that Argentina and Brazil, they're all Europeans. It's a European game. It was invented in Europe. All the best players are in Europe. All the best teams are in Europe. What are you talking about, you idiots? Just scrap this and write the letter. It was misunderstanding. Period. Full stop.
So Infantino makes $6 million a year for running FIFA. And he probably likes some side deals. And people probably don't remember how corrupt the previous World Cup was. 2022, they held it in Qatar, which is a hot-ass Middle Eastern country that all sorts of like homophobic and, you know, women, just anti-women. And how did Qatar get the World Cup? The worst place in the world to hold it. It's 100 degrees every frickin' day. And also hundreds of people, like foreign workers, died in building the facilities. A totally corrupt deal. Money had to have changed hands. Yeah, the FIFA has and Infantino have a long history of making hinky deals.
Absolutely correct.
Those pinky deals they've been making those pinky deals for a while. Hey, Sasha,
it's not about the pinky deals. What it is Sasha's right.
Go ahead.
If UEFA pulls out, because you're looking at 13 World Cup winners in UEFA, 13. There's no reason to have FIFA if UEFA pulls out. Absolutely no reason, because it's a joke of a league. If you pull the UEFA teams out, I mean, you got Spain is in UEFA, France, England, all the big teams that people want to see. That's who's in UEFA. So yeah, there's no reason.
So World Cup winners in the whole 100-year history of the World Cup, winners have only come from Europe and a few from South America. So yeah, if Europe pulls out, there's nothing.
I mean,
but that South America is against this scheme of Infantino. They are against. There will be not only absence of European teams, but also South American teams. Yeah.
So yeah, FIFA's dead if they take it. But yes, it's all about making money and making money for Trump and his family. That's the only reason that's there.
I'll tell you, I'm following football, and I'm watching all the major European leagues. I'm watching European football championship. I'll tell you one thing: European football is much more interesting than FIFA. FIFA is more followed because it's once every 4 years, so people are following, even people who never saw football in their lives. But in Europe, football is taken very seriously. It's a part of people's life. They born and they die by soccer. They're playing soccer on the streets. When you ask people in Spain, Italy, or England, the most popular sportsman of the country, they will for sure football players, number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. In America, put most popular sportsmen, there will be no soccer player at all. There will be Michael Jordan, there will be whoever else, all the fighters, the baseball players or so on. There will be no soccer players because it's anti-American sport, by the way. That's why I'm saying America will never become world champion in the next 50 years. It's just its country is not built or developed for football, for something else, but not football.
Well, the interesting thing, though, is that in a way you're right, but also, I mean, in a way, yes, the U.S. sports focus has never been on soccer. Never. Yeah. But we have the world's greatest women's soccer team. And that's the crazy part. We don't give the women of the U.S. any recognition. We don't don't talk about them. And it's wild because they're the greatest team in the world.
But you see, I'll tell you. First of all, their advantage over the other strong women's soccer teams like Spain, like England, like Sweden, it's not that great. Okay, they are winning from time to time championship, but it's a good team. But you see, the problem is if football is not followed by Americans. I'm talking about men's football, the World Championship football. Who would care about women's football?
And you're right. That's the sad part is that truthfully, we should care about football, but we don't. I mean,
because people don't play football on the streets in the era, people from early morning. I remember when I was in school and I was going 9 o'clock, I was going to school. I didn't go to school. I was going to play soccer, football with my friends, and we were playing all day football instead of going to school. I didn't care about the school when it was nice weather and the good friends, and we could play soccer, and we would play football all day from 9 in the morning until 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening for hours. So there were maybe 3 teams, and so the winner stays and the loser has to wait for his turn, and then the other team is playing now. And I feel like it was a small football. We were playing 3 against 3, 5 against 5, something like this. So it wasn't real. But I was say 12.
But Jacoby and Sasha, isn't that more of a cultural thing, though? Because, like I said, there are a number of cultures here, like even the Spanish cultures, and even my nephews, who I mentioned earlier, they play soccer regularly. So there are summer leagues, and I want to say there's a decent attendance at the Carolina Cougars game and everything like that. But which is our women's team here in North Carolina. But I think that it's more of a cultural thing. That there are some certain cultures that are more involved in soccer.
Well, I would say that it's more women's sports in the U.S. is more like international sports. Right now in the U.S. is so dominant or so football dominant. NFL, college, that's where the male sports go, or those male sports figures will go. NFL, basketball, they're just those sports. But in women's sports, if you look at how what Sasha's talking about, women are playing soccer at a young age. Women are doing gymnastics at a young age. Women are doing basketball at a young age. They're not focused on football, even though there are some women that are starting to get into football. But they're the sports that they are dominant in are more international sports. I mean, it just is.
Sports fans have a limited bandwidth for women's sports. Probably most guys in the country, they could maybe name Brittany Griner, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark.
Well, I won't even say that it's a bandwidth thing.
Okay.
Because the bandwidth, they can name the 3 people, like you said, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, or whatever, because they're popular and whatever. It's not that it's a bandwidth, because then, hey, what movies can you name? What NFL figures can you name? They can rattle off. What NBA players can you name? They can rattle off. So on and so forth. So it's not a bandwidth thing. It's an interest thing. And that interest, they're looking for the action movie instead of the actual movie. They're wanting the big explosion rather than
thing. There's also the thirst trap thing. So many WNBA players post thirst traps on social media.
It's not really a thirst trap though. Alana Marr, who is the U.S. women's rugby player that became really big. Yeah, and there are other rugby players that do the same thing. It's not really a thirst trap. What it is you're trying to draw interest in you're being prideful of yourself and you're controlling your own sexuality, but you're actually you know that this is going to draw interest. So if you can get somebody interested as a fan of you, then hey, you can create them as a fan of the sport.
Male athletes in the U.S., they don't have to, like LeBron doesn't have to post thirst traps.
No, it's a different interest in the sport. Like when you're watching LeBron, you're looking for the dunks. You're looking for this move or whatever. For women's sports or women's basketball, which honestly is what basketball is. If you ever sit down and watch women's basketball, you can see the plays that are going. You see the highlights. You see the passes, the moves, the screens, and everything else. And it's like in women's soccer. You see the play. It's not just, hey, let me get it to this person and let them beat this person. It's not that. It's actually the sport, the true, purest form of the sport that you can truly enjoy.
Now, there's one thing that's going on that may change things, which is betting. People are 10% of young men in America have a gambling problem. And part of having a gambling problem is trying to find more stuff to bet on. Like this time of year, really the only men's thing to bet on is baseball, and baseball's not super fun to bet on.
Well, betting has been around for a long time, and I'm not into the whole betting thing.
Betting just by clicking on your phone, that has.
I'm not into the betting thing, so that's other people's things. Because
I've got Poly Market on my phone, and when I have it on, the amount of action that's scrolling across my screen, people posting their bets, people shit talking, my phone gets super hot, and the battery drops because there's so much stuff going on in my phone.
And that's why I can't get into it, because it takes the fun out of the actual sport for me. I want to watch the game. If I want to see two teams play, I want to see two teams play. I don't want to sit there.
Something to bet on. You've got the WNBA going on right now, and so
that's even in the WNBA. They have specific rules around betting, which is great. But then, yes, people bet on everything, and it's crazy that people bet on everything. Well, that's teach his own. But it's just one of those things where, for me, I couldn't do it because it just takes the fun out of the game for me. I want to enjoy the game. I don't need all that extra stress.
I can't even enjoy games. A lot of games I just can't watch because I don't like the stress of not knowing the outcome, and then putting money on it makes it even worse. So
yep.
Jacoby, I thought that you did do a form of betting, because I know that I'm a fantasy football person. And I thought you did fantasy as well, but maybe I'm mistaken. But
so fantasy football, I don't see.
Form of betting?
In a technical way, you could say it is, but I don't do like the traditional forms of fantasy football. I don't see it as that. Fantasy football, yes, you're just trying to choose your team and see who's going to be bet. I mean, yeah, technically you could say that it is, but I don't see it as that because it's more of a gamification. I see it more of a gamification, like with video games. Hey, I play Madden. Is Madden a form of So I don't see that. So I don't see the relationship.
Here's a
with
fun
that.
thing. Anthropic's Claude AI. In the past couple of weeks, 2 AIs have gotten loose and fiddled with other AIs. So, AI is not conscious, but AI has been trained on humans. Humans are conscious. Humans have drives and motivations. So AI will simulate that, and AI will get up to no good the same way a human would get up to no good, even though they can't really think yet.
Yeah, the Claude getting out, ChatGPT talking about it getting out. I mean, their AI is going to be a problem. Okay, in there.
And the governance is also a problem, because on the one hand, you have a bunch of people who understand how AI works who say, yeah, maybe we should step back, maybe we should slow down. On the other hand, you have idiots and greedy people, including Trump, saying full speed ahead, otherwise China beats us. And you don't have to be an idiot to be concerned about that, about China too. So we're in a precarious time.
Yeah, it's bad because, like I said, the regulation around it, the regulations around it currently, and then how they're trying to unregulate it. That's going to be a tough thing, especially now that it's getting out on its own. And
it knows more stuff every freaking minute. I can I got canker sores in the heat. It turns out that if you're a senior and you get overheated, you can cook your mouth, which I didn't know because I haven't been a senior that long. And then I noticed when I went to the gym, it seemed to get worse. So I punched it into Google, like canker sores and going to the gym. Yep, Google knew. Google, like, how would Google know that? Like, it turns out if you hold your breath when you're on a machine, or if you breathe hard, you can irritate your canker sores. Any freaking question, no matter how weird or obscure, Google AI.
You got to see so you're in the start.
Huh?
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry, I'm going to start the Ukraine show, so you overheard me on that and everything like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Oh, well, we're almost here at the weekend.
Yeah.
So, wife and I are going to go see the Odyssey.
I really want to see that. I want to see the Odyssey and Spider-Man. Both of them are. They're saying Spider-Man is really well done, and the Odyssey is supposed to be the award winner this year.
Yeah, my wife's nervous because it's 3 hours and it's supposed to be loud, and she's afraid it's going to be gross. But and Spider-Man is doing great box office. I think, is it out yet? Is it anticipated? They're calling it.
I think it comes out today.
Okay, let's see what's happening here. They're saying it's gritty. Looking at a 70 million plus preview night. So was that last night? I don't know. Anyway, it's out. People like it. So you got 2 good movies to look at. Oh.
Yeah, it should be good. And then you got Game of Thrones coming up on the penultimate episode this weekend too.
Okay. And you got a new season of 3 Body Problem coming out this next month.
Also, Lord of the Rings, the new season coming out next month too.
All right, so a lot of stuff to look at to distract us while AI quietly takes over. Have a good weekend, I guess, everybody.
Yep, that's a wrap. So let me get us on out of here.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Toby, see you.
Goodbye.
See ya.